hi friends. This is Miss J here, and we're gonna cook today. We're gonna start by putting on our apron to protect our clothes, just like we do in school. And after we put on our apron, we wash our hands, right? And then we don't touch our face or our hair or anything that's dirty after we wash our hands, because we want to keep them clean for our food and for our food not to have any germs in it. So let's wash our hands. Okay. So let's look at our ingredients. We have a hot pan that's on a burner. We have wheat bread. I like this wheat bread. It's called Schmidt's wheat bread, old time. You could get it at Costco. This does not have any high fructose corn syrup. So it's one of the few wheat breads that, or breads in general, that don't have corn syrup. I have butter, cheese, and last night for dinner I made pulled pork. So I do have some pulled pork left in here that I'm going to put in the sandwich, in the grilled cheese. Now with grilled cheese is a platform for almost anything, like a burger. So you could make it sweet, you could make it savory, you could make it tangy or spicy. I could make a Mexican grilled cheese with avocado and jalapenos. I could make a Hawaiian grilled cheese with ham and pineapple. I could make just an American grilled cheese with bacon and tomato and cheese. So whatever you have in the house that you like, you can use to create your grilled cheese. It's a nice way to add some vegetables that you have left over in there so that they don't go bad. It's a sneaky way to get those in without anyone really knowing. So one of our words today was grease, and we also said that we could use butter or oil to grease the pan. So I'm going to cut some butter and place it in the pan. And then another word is melt. That's what's going to happen with this butter. My butter is now melting in the pan, and I'm going to swirl the butter around to make sure that it gets all the edges so my bread does not stick on it. Now I'm making sure this metal utensil does not touch the bottom of my pan because I don't want it to scratch. So I'm just swirling the butter around a little bit. Some people, when they make grilled cheese, they will butter the bread. I don't usually do that. I mean, you can. The butter here is soft enough to butter the bread, but since there's already butter on the pan or in the pan, I don't necessarily have to butter it 2 times. Plus, if the butter isn't melted enough, it might create a hole in the bread, and you don't want to do that. So I'm going to put it butter side down on my pan and turn the heat up a little bit. And you might hear it start sizzling because it's toasting. All right, I'm not going to put the cheese on just yet, although I can. I'm making this for my daughter's lunch. So now I'm trying to figure out, do I want 1 slice of cheese, 2, 3, it depends. It's whatever you guys like. Now this cheese is cut pretty thick, so, or sliced. That's another one of our words. This was a block of cheese that was sliced into smaller pieces, and it was sliced kind of thick, so I don't necessarily have to use too much of it to have an impact on the sandwich. So I'm gonna put the heat a little higher. Now remember, when you guys are doing this on the stove top, there's gonna be fire coming underneath. So you wanna make sure that your sleeves are up and away and that your hair is back. And I just touched my sleeves, so now I have to wash my hands again. When we're in the kitchen, you will wash up several times before you actually start cooking because you accidentally touch something else. So we want to make sure that anything that's hanging is out of the way. This hot pot, the only way I will get burned is if I actually touch the hot surface. I could feel the heat all the way up here. But if I touch the hot surface, I will burn myself. Now the cheese is slightly melted so far, so I'm gonna add some of this pulled pork that I have from yesterday, and it also has a little bit of cheese in it. It has white cheddar. And the cheese that I use today is yellow American cheese, but you can use any cheese you want. I love having Swiss on here, or some people like goat cheese. I'm not a fan of goat cheese, but you could have any kind of cheese that you prefer. Provolone melts really well. Munster Jack melts well too. So whatever cheese you like, you could put on here. So this is some pulled pork that I made yesterday in the crock pot. I'm not going to put too much on because then my daughter's going to say, why did you mix all these flavor profiles? Kids. But I am going to put another piece of cheese on top of the sandwich, only to keep all the bread together, because melt is one of our words. Once this melts, it'll hold all the ingredients together. So I put it on top of the meat. So now I have 2 slices of cheese, and in between I have the pulled pork. And now I could get ready to put my other slice of bread on top. And that's what makes it a sandwich, grilled cheese sandwich, right? So I'm gonna put the other piece of bread down, and I'm gonna use, you guys remember what this is? It's a spatula. So I'm gonna use this not only to flatten it down, but to flip the sandwich over, okay? So the spatula is big enough, it's basically the size of my bread. You see, so it'll be easy to flip over. This part I could use, we don't really eat the bottom part, or the top and bottom of the bread. So this part I could actually take and put in my brown sugar to keep it moist, so that the brown sugar doesn't get hard. So I'm gonna start flattening down the sandwich, and I already smell that it's getting browner than my daughter likes. But hey, beggars can't be choosers. So I'm gonna put a little more butter in the pan. You will hear the sizzle because the pan is hot. Did I put the other piece of cheese? Yeah, I did. You know what, let me put more since I took it out. And I'm just gonna move the butter around so it coats the pan. And then I'm gonna put the other slice on so that the cheese melts on both ends. I like it dark and brown and crunchy like this. She's probably not gonna like it that brown, so I'm gonna flip it over so the brown side is on the bottom, and she won't know until she tastes it. Once she tastes it, she's gonna look at the bottom, like, Mom, you burned my sandwich. But it isn't burned. She's just a little extra when it comes to flavors and textures. So, hey, you know what? She doesn't like it, she could cook it herself. What about that? Right? Just like you guys. You guys are learning how to cook. And I'm gonna put it on here. I'm gonna turn the heat down, or off rather. And I'm gonna put this in my sink to soak so that I could wash it later because it's hot. I want it to cool off. Feel that steam coming up in my face, steaming up my glasses. This is hot. Let me push it aside and unplug it. And then of course you're gonna put your ingredients back when you're done. I'm just letting the grilled cheese sit for a minute and cool off before I cut it for her. Usually just cut it in half. When they were little, they used to get 4 little squares, but now they don't need 4 squares. Their mouth is very big, believe me. It's big enough to handle half of a sandwich. Let me take these and put these are called perishable ingredients. Perishable ingredients are ingredients that will turn bad if they're not put away in the freezer or the refrigerator. So cheese is something that definitely goes in the refrigerator or the freezer, depending on whether or not you're going to use it right away. And butter is also something that goes in the refrigerator or the freezer, depending on when you're using it. We don't eat a lot of bread here, so this bread usually is in the refrigerator. I don't let it sit on the counter. It lasts longer in the refrigerator. So if you guys aren't bread eaters per se, you should put your bread away and it will last longer. So let me just put these in the refrigerator. Okay, here's a sandwich. Nice crunch to it. The cheese is nice and melty. I'll bring it closer. Pulled pork and American cheese sandwich. American grilled cheese sandwich. All right, so now I'll take this sandwich, I'll plate it up for her. She'll have this with an apple for lunch, and then we're done. Of course, by the time she eats it, it's gonna be cold because I needed to make it now, but I'll put it in the microwave, maybe for a few seconds to heat it up. Let me get another plate to put over it. Now this other plate will help it retain its heat, but I don't want to necessarily cover it too much because the toast bread will get soggy if the steam stays in there. So I'm just gonna cover it enough so that maybe it stays warm, but it doesn't get soggy. And that's it. Easy peasy, right? We're done. So you guys can use any bread you want, you can use any cheese you want, and basically any ingredients you want to make grilled cheese. Now this is something that all of you can do at home, and if you have trouble putting on the stove top, ask a parent to help you with that, and they could monitor you for the first couple of times that you do it, and then when you get comfortable enough, you can do it on your own and maybe make your family lunch. All right, so thank you for watching.